morning, good morning. I'll be honest, I was just sitting here during that countdown thinking about how I wanted to bring the show in. I like doing shows in the morning. Good morning feels like a more natural, kind of easy, open greeting. So good morning. How's everyone doing today? June 18th, 2024. We are here at the Guerrilla Sports Studios, Guerrilla Sports Daily. I'm your host, Jesse Montano. Lots to go over today. We're getting near the time of the summer where there isn't a lot to go over. I was thinking about it this morning. The NBA Finals wrap up last night. Boston Celtics, 18th NBA title. We're getting to that in just a second. But that wraps up last night. We got the Stanley Cup Final going tonight. It's Game 5, so at most, there's tonight plus 2 more. We're getting down to it here. We talked about it yesterday. Olympic trials are going on right now for Team USA, June 15th through the 30th. Then we're barreling towards the opening ceremonies next month on July 26th. But once the Stanley Cup Final wraps up, NFL had mini camps last week. Like I said, NBA Finals wrap up last night. NHL Stanley Cup Finals have a limited amount of time left. We're getting right down to it, folks. Now, should mention, once all this wraps up here, we are, let's see, today's Tuesday. 9 days from the NHL draft, NBA draft right around the corner as well. Then we're hitting free agency. So it's not like the news is stopping, right? We're going to have sports news here for the next couple weeks, and hopefully that a little bit of July buzz can get us through to the Olympics, and we don't miss a beat. But you know that we're going to bring you guys content every single day here at Guerrilla Sports. Let's get into it today with some of our updates, the news stories that stuck out to me from yesterday in the world of sports. We are kicking it off, of course, with the Boston Celtics winning their 18th NBA title in relatively dominant fashion last night. Game didn't feel in question really at any point, and really the end of the game was just kind of playing it out. It was a 21 plus point lead for the vast majority of the final 5 minutes. The Mavericks were able to battle back. Occasionally, they were able to put on the pressure, occasionally. But the game last night really did kind of feel the way the rest of the series did. 106-88 is the final. The Boston Celtics over the Dallas Mavericks. And look, this is one of the notes that I got here. The Celtics' top players, it felt like they showed up all series long. Luka and Kyrie, the Mavs' top players, it was just in flashes. It was just in bursts here and there. We really saw them kind of shine as a whole. We talked about it yesterday in Game 4, the Dallas Mavericks being led by those two players in particular. But really, it just never felt like an ultra-competitive series. Now, the question is that a product of the quality of the Boston Celtics? A lot of the conversation the last couple of days has been around, was there maybe a team that would have been better matched up? You know, we've used, you can go back through sports and find all kinds of examples. Right here in Colorado, the 1996 Stanley Cup championship for the Colorado Avalanche. It was supposed to be the Pittsburgh Penguins coming out of the East. That was the big matchup that everyone was looking forward to. Colorado Avalanche, Pittsburgh Penguins meeting in the Stanley Cup Final. The Florida Panthers, at the time, young franchise, upset the Pittsburgh Penguins and move on to the Stanley Cup Final. Everyone knew it really wasn't a great matchup. The Avalanche go on to sweep that Stanley Cup Final. A lot of people were starting to question maybe if that was the case here. And I think maybe it's a fair question. This is a Dallas Mavericks team that missed the playoffs last year. They were a 5th seed coming in, and kind of every step of the way, it seemed like they were proving people wrong. They were earning their stripes along the way, knocking off the Oklahoma City Thunder, the LA Clippers, and then, of course, the Anthony Edwards-led Minnesota Timberwolves that a lot of people were saying was likely going to be the team to go on to win the NBA championship after knocking off the Denver Nuggets in the second round. So I do wonder, was this maybe a moment that the Boston Celtics had been working toward for the last couple years? Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they add Drew Holiday. This seemed like a year for the Celtics that they had been building toward, right? Building towards getting to this point where they were positioned to win a championship, and you came up against a Mavericks team that was young, exciting. Like I said, missed the playoffs last year. A little bit of a nice feel-good story. And it just seemed like the veteran team, the team that was built to be here, the team that had been knocking on the door, was the one that rightfully came out. If you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, or if you're a member of the organization, you got to feel very optimistic about where you're going and what you've got coming next. And I mean, what you saw out of Luka Doncic in this playoffs, it was just fantastic. It was outstanding. You know that he's going to be back. And like I said, they missed the playoffs last year. We've heard Jared Bednar, head coach of the Colorado Avalanche, right here locally, talk about it all the time. You got to lose before you can win. And I know when you're losing, when you've just lost, that's not really a great feeling. That's not a ton of comfort. But you got to lose before you can win. This is a young Dallas Mavericks team that, based on what we saw this year, you have to expect will be back, knocking on the door again here over the next couple of years, especially with Luka at the helm. So congratulations to the Boston Celtics. They win their 18th NBA title, knocking off the Dallas Mavericks last night. We were hoping maybe a little bit more competitive, a little bit more entertaining final throughout, but it's not the way it went. The one thing I do want to point out, it was awesome to see Jason Tatum last night. Super emotional, even with just a few minutes left. Really started to see that emotion come through, and then getting to watch him after the game was just fantastic.
It's a surreal feeling. We did it. We did it!
And I mean, you could get on Twitter right now and just search Jason Tatum's name, and it was just endless content. Him and his son, like I said, the emotion that he was showing, that's what really this is all about for me. I mentioned it. Wow, this is 2 shows in a row. I'm going to bring up Welcome to Wrexham. Who can believe that? We've been watching Welcome to Wrexham, FX and Hulu. It's great. Me and my wife, it's great. But she was making fun of me because I kept getting emotional. And I just told her, I said, I love sports. Like, this is what's so great about sports. And there's really nothing else, in my opinion, that can incite the same joy and passion and just kind of collective happiness. And there's the flip side to that coin, too. You know, I'm sure Dallas Mavericks fans weren't feeling the collective happiness last night. But there's nothing else like sports that can do that. That can take a group of different people that all come together for different reasons to support this one team. It's just awesome to see. And I thought Jason Tatum kind of exemplified all that last night. So, Boston Celtics, 18 NBA championships. Dallas Mavericks, it was a great run. It was super exciting. I think they proved a lot of people wrong, and they earned some stripes along the way. We'll be anxious to see what happens there. Moving on, Tom Brady in the broadcast booth for the UFL Championship. It's not the Super Bowl. It's the UFL Championship. The Birmingham Stallions beat the San Antonio Brahmas 25-0. Brahmas. I bit my cheek when I said that the first time. 25-0, and Tom Brady was there to help hand out the MVP trophy while also being in the booth earlier in the game. If you remember, he did sign that deal with Fox to become part of their #1 broadcast crew for this upcoming NFL season. But after taking the gap year, we didn't know. Is he actually going to do it? He's come out of retirement once. What's Tom Brady really doing? He's got the Hertz commercials going. Does he really need to go into the booth? Well, it looks like that is going to happen after he goes to the booth last night. I'm excited. I'm anxious to hear Tom Brady. I know this maybe won't be a popular opinion. I'm not really sure. I like Tony Romo in the booth. I think it's fun. Now, I do think he's gotten in a little bit too into his own gimmick, Tony Romo has. But when he first got up into the booth as a color analyst, I thought he was fantastic. Calling out plays. Really, I felt like giving insight that you don't typically get from color analysts in the booth, even good color analysts, former players who have been there. There was something about what Tony Romo was bringing there right at the beginning that I thought was unique and that I enjoyed listening to. I'm hoping Tom Brady can have that kind of same effect. We know, look, again, Denver fans probably aren't going to like this. Tom Brady, probably the greatest quarterback of all time. I think it's probably pretty safe to say, just given the championships, all the accolades. It's probably the greatest of all time. And you know he's going to have good insight. What you've always heard about him is the smarts and the way he thinks the game and the IQ and all of that and his ability to read defenses. I'm anxious to hear his perspective on that. And then I mentioned the Hertz commercials a minute ago. He's already got plenty of I don't know, chops as a TV personality, as someone who's on air. We've seen Tom Brady do this stuff before. I think he's great. He's got good charisma, and I think he's a personable guy. I think he's someone who's fit to do this in this day and age with the current landscape of sports media. I'm excited to hear what Tom Brady's got to say up in the booth. I think that I've talked about this before. I really do think that a lot of the wave of the future of play-by-play and broadcasting for sports, during the games, is really going to be more towards what we see with, the Manning cast and Peyton and Eli Manning, where these are guys that understand what they're looking at, can commentate on the game, can give you insight, but really it's just an interesting conversation between folks. And I think maybe getting Tom Brady up into the booth, while it's going to be a traditional, play-by-play and color analyst setup, I think this is another step towards that, getting away from the traditional legacy format of color analyst, play-by-play, to let's get good conversation. Let's get entertaining personalities up into the booth and see what we can create. So he takes his first step towards that last night, being in the booth for the UFL championship. Tom Brady did go down onto the field. Like I said, he did present the MVP trophy last night as well, but it looks like he's actually going to do it. It looks like he's going to do it. So Tom Brady should be in the booth this year for the upcoming NFL season. Now, I don't want to fully stray away from the Boston Celtics quite yet, because now we're talking about Tom Brady, New England Patriot, great. Here's something pretty crazy. Our very own Liv Moods was talking about Boston fans last night. Boston sports fans don't have the best reputation. If you're talking to other fan bases around sports, there's a lot of, cockiness maybe from some Boston area fans. And when you're stepping back this morning and look at the numbers, it's kind of hard to blame them. Since 2001, 13 professional sports titles in the major four North American sports for the city of Boston. So that means since 2001, that was 23 years ago, the city of Boston has had more years with a parade than they have had without since 2001. That's 6 Super Bowls, so a lot of those are Tom Brady, right? A lot of those are Tom Brady. 6 Super Bowls, 4 World Series for the Boston Red Sox. This is now the Boston Celtics' second NBA title in that span, and the Boston Bruins with their 1 Stanley Cup back in 2011. 13 titles for the city of Boston in the last 23 years. Again, I'm with you, folks. I'm with you. I get it. We all know those Boston fans that are, I don't know if I want to say annoying. Arrogant. Arrogant, I think, is the right way of putting it. But it's hard to argue with the numbers. 13 championships in the last 23 years. Again, it's a lot of them in the New England Patriots. They make up just about half. Just about half. But it's a lot of sustained success for the city. And, you saw the scenes last night in the streets. They were definitely not pulling their punches on the celebrating. So their 13th title in the last 23 years. It's impressive. City of Champions, I don't know if we can officially crown them that, but like I said, it's hard to argue with the numbers there. Tom Brady's not there, and then, so you're probably not going to get another one of those Super Bowls for at least a while that really kind of bolstered those numbers. Even if you remove the Super Bowls, right here in Denver, since 2001, I guess if you want to count the 2001 Cup, you're talking about 4 titles. That's not bad. 4 titles in 20 years. But again, you feel pretty good about that if you're a Denver sports fan, and you're really not even close to what they got going in Boston. You're really not even close. Let's keep it moving here. Man, I'm getting more and more of these just spam text messages where they're just the most random, crazy text messages. All right, guys. This one means something to me, and I'm going to tell you why. The Baltimore Ravens finally introduced an alternate helmet. For the first time, the Baltimore Ravens will have an alternate helmet. It's going to be purple and gold. I think we have a shot of it here. This is the official release from the Baltimore Ravens today. Let's see. There we go. Here's why I like it. Well, one, I like it just because I like it. It's a cool look. They are going to be wearing these with the purple and gold uniforms. I also love the use of a secondary logo on the side. But here's why I like it, folks. I play Madden. I'm a Madden, on the Xbox. I like to play. I think it's fun. Not all the time. I'm not on it constantly. But I think it's fun to play. And one of the things that I enjoy most about it is not customizing uniforms necessarily, like, making new jerseys and stuff like that, but I like doing different uniform combinations. I probably spend way too much time picking uniforms before a game starts. I've done this since I was a little kid. My issue with the Baltimore Ravens has always been they don't have a secondary helmet. They only have the one option. They've had, great different looks over the years. I love the all black look of their uniforms. I like the purple and gold combination that they've got. And it's always driven me nuts that, and I know there's people out there, like if AJ Hafley is watching right now, he's rolling his eyes because I'm sitting here talking about uniforms and jerseys. But I think they're fun. It's branding, it's marketing, and it's how you connect with your fan base. It's the merch your fans are going to wear. It's the, like I said, the branding that goes up in the building. There's a lot that goes into it, and I hate when these professional sports brands have boring branding, don't like to do this. You guys have heard me complain about it before. The Avs, a couple years ago, the Colorado Avalanche, as part of the NHL's reverse retro program, did the white and burgundy old school Quebec Nordiques jerseys. They were the best-selling jersey in the NHL that year. And Adidas only made them once. The Avs tried to get them to reprint it. Adidas and the NHL said, no, they were a one-time run. And it just doesn't make sense to me. They were the best-selling jerseys in the league. Everyone in the fan base loved them. Why wouldn't you take that and do more with it? Wear them more often. Bring them back as a third jersey. Sell them. It drives me crazy when these brands get in their own way and in a weird roundabout way. Now, this is way too much of a rant on a Baltimore Ravens helmet, but for years and years, the Ravens wouldn't get out of their own way on the branding. They finally did it. And look at that. I think it's a great product. I think it's going to look fantastic on the field. I think it's going to go great with their purple alternate uniforms in general. So good on the Baltimore Ravens for finally giving, well, I was going to say 13-year-old Jesse, but it's really still just me. I'm still doing it on Madden, giving me something else to work with here on a uniform customizer for the Baltimore Ravens. So I like it. Shout out to them. The other uniform out there that is officially being teased, we've heard a little bit about it, going over to the NHL, the Anaheim Ducks put out a teaser this morning on their social media page, and I could not be more excited for this one. It's going to be a modernized version of the 90s Duck logo, and they're going with the orange. There were reports that maybe they were considering going back to the old school eggplant and teal, but just from this little teaser, I am so excited. I love that orange. It looks like maybe a little bit more of a darker burnt orange. I think the gold accenting is nice, and they're putting an updated spin on the 90s logo that I think is the best logo in the history of sports. They're modernizing it just a touch, adding that fresh color palette. And I love the fact that the eye is orange. That wasn't what it used to be. And now, like I said, I made the comment just a second ago. We've had some reports on this from Aesthetics. If you're a jersey watcher, a uniform watcher, at least for the NHL, this is the account to follow. They've been talking about this jersey now for a couple weeks. They're the ones who were originally reporting that it's going to be a modernized, updated version of the 90s branding. And they were the ones who were also reporting that there was originally some thoughts of them going back to the old school color palette. But I'm going to be honest. I think there's a really easy and really good temptation to, or a really big temptation, I shouldn't say good temptation, a big temptation to just go back to what it was, because you know everyone likes it, right? And go back to the old color palette and just rerun the old uniforms. Not unlike what the Arizona Coyotes have done. We're seeing the Denver Broncos do it with an alternate uniform here in Denver this year, where they are going back to the 90s and 80s, 90s look with the lighter blue and stuff like that. It's easy to do that. You know it's popular. You know people are going to like it. What I like about what the Anaheim Ducks are doing here is they're taking the elements that people like, that everyone's been asking for, and they're putting them on center stage. This is going to be their primary uniform. This is going to be their primary logo. But they're putting a fresh spin on it with the team's current branding and their current color palettes and all of that. I'm really excited for this. I'm probably, again, going back to what I was just saying about playing Madden games growing up and the Baltimore Ravens. Talk about, I grew up playing hockey. I've been playing hockey since I was 5 years old. I grew up watching the Mighty Ducks movies and that great 90s branding, like I said, with the big shield. I watched the Mighty Ducks cartoon. I love the logo. I love the branding. I was so bummed when they went away from it. I'll be honest, I'm probably one of the few people who didn't mind the new logo that the Anaheim Ducks had, the big webbed foot, that looked like a D, but it was a duck foot. I actually kind of liked it, but you couldn't beat that old school 90s branding. I'm excited to see them bringing it back. And really, this is the kind of stuff I love about the offseason. We're getting, we get it from the Baltimore Ravens, the Anaheim Ducks. There's going to be a few other teams just around sports that refresh and update their branding. It's actually one of the things I love about the NBA. The NBA understands what I was talking about earlier of, this is the merch. This is what your fans buy. This is what your fans show up wearing. This is the stuff that your players are wearing, whether it be through warm-ups or the actual jerseys themselves. And the NBA does a great job, I think, every year. There's always some misses, no doubt, and you can sometimes maybe go too far with the jerseys, but I love that the NBA tries to get creative and try new things every year. With the City Edition, the MLB has been doing something similar. So it's great to see. Again, I really like when the NHL does the reverse retro. I love the NFL's color rush. I think teams should do more of that stuff. And I was excited last night and this morning, just kind of going through my different feeds and seeing that we've got all these different uniforms being put out. Fans seem to be liking them, and to me, again, that's kind of what it's all about, right? That's what it goes back to. So. Couple exciting either releases and teases. The LA Kings also are going to have new branding this year, also going back to some 80s inspired stuff. So I'm super excited. Again, the Denver Broncos released new uniforms this summer. There's going to be a lot of changes, I think, across the different sports teams going in some new directions. I didn't even mention the Utah Hockey Club, which is a brand new organization that also released some jerseys this week. We'll probably talk about those at noon right here on Guerrilla Sports YouTube. Guerrilla Hockey, Jesse and JJ. We'll probably get into the Utah Hockey jerseys. Wrapping it up for today, Guerrilla Sports Daily. Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight. Panthers-Oilers. Panthers trying to close it out back at home after a dominant 8-1 win by the Edmonton Oilers on their home ice in Game 4. Again, through Game 4, the NBA and the NHL Finals followed the exact same script. One team dominated Games 1 through 3, then a big blowout from the team down 3-0 in Game 4. We'll see what we've got tonight. Panthers trying to win their first ever Stanley Cup. And the last interesting programming note that I've got here on this series, Matthew Tkachuk, great childhood friends with Boston Celtics champion Jason Tatum. Childhood friends, they grew up together. So wouldn't that be something if Matthew Tkachuk and Jason Tatum could win championships on back-to-back nights after growing up buddies, even if not on back-to-back nights. Within the same week, even in the same year. Doesn't matter how long it takes Matthew Tkachuk. If they get it done, I think it's pretty cool. Man, your childhood friend, you're like, hey, we're going to grow up and we're going to both be pros one day. And you end up winning championships in the same year. I would be remiss if I didn't end this show without mentioning that Turkey is playing Georgia in 5 minutes in the Euro Cup. And then Portugal and Czechia at 1. 2 games today in the Euro Cup. I'm looking over at Jay in the window there. He was glued to the iPad all day yesterday, so I couldn't end this today without mentioning that. Stanley Cup final tonight, 2 Euro Cup games tonight, and then a whole slew of MLB games, and I'm sure our focus will be shifting to the MLB once we get out of some of these championship rounds and things like that. But I think that'll do it for today, June 18th. This is a Guerrilla Sports Daily. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. I promise you guys won't have to see my face every time we do one of these. We had BK on yesterday. We had people out of town. There's people. We got people here at Guerrilla Sports closing on houses. All kinds of exciting stuff going on. So look, we're juggling right now, and yeah, it might be a little bit more of me than what most of you folks would like, but I promise we're going to get Liv in here, we're going to get Nate Jackson up here, we're going to get BK in here, we're going to get Jay in front of the camera eventually, and then like I said, I got JJ joining me here in a couple of hours at noon for more kind of NHL hockey talk. So if you guys are wanting to tune in for that, check that out. We have all kinds of stuff, fun stuff that we're going to be talking about there, and maybe even open up a couple packs of hockey cards. If you guys were watching yesterday, you know that I'm just like super into that again this summer. It's been a ton of fun. So, for Jay behind the board, make sure you guys can see and hear everything we got going here. I'm Jesse Montano. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Guerrilla Sports Daily. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9:30.